Good morning, this is Marshall Davis on this rainy summer morning here in New Hampshire. This episode is on the 27th saying of Jesus in the Gospel of Thomas. It is actually two sayings. One is about finding the kingdom of God, the other is about seeing the Father. And these are both ways that Jesus talks about spiritual awakening. And here he talks about it in the context of the spiritual disciplines of fasting and the Sabbath. The first is about true fasting. The second is about true Sabbath-keeping. Let me read it for you. If you do not fast from the world, you will not find the kingdom. If you do not observe the Sabbath as a Sabbath, you will not see the Father. Now, I understand these sayings as talking about space and time, space-time from a non-dual perspective. In other words, this world is not what we think it is. I just finished reading a novel entitled The Game. It is the first in a series entitled The Game is Life by Terry Schott, and it reminds me of The Matrix. In the book, Earth is a virtual reality game managed by a supercomputer guided by an artificial intelligence. And this game takes the place of traditional education. It's meant to teach about life. When people are plugged into the game, they are born on Earth, having no knowledge of their prior life outside the game. And time flows differently within the game than it does in the so-called real world. They live a whole lifetime of 70 or 80 years inside the game in a matter of just weeks or months in the real world. And when they die in the game, they wake up in the real world. And after a while, depending on how well they played the game, they can then re-enter the game as a different avatar. There's a lot more to it than that, but this is the gist of it. In the first book, the main characters are a young man and woman who in the game come to realize that this world is an illusion. They start a spiritual movement to teach this truth to others. And they have spiritual practices, such as meditation, as part of this movement. So you can see why I would like this book. In the saying of Jesus in the Gospel of Thomas, Jesus mentions two spiritual disciplines, fasting and Sabbath. First Jesus says, if you do not fast from the world, you will not find the kingdom. Now, normally we think of fasting as doing without food for a period of time, and that's a common practice in many, if not most, if not all, spiritual traditions. Here he's not talking about fasting from food, he's talking about fasting from the world. In regular fasting, you stop eating for a period of time for a spiritual purpose. The spiritual purpose, according to Jesus in this saying, is to find the kingdom of God. If you do not fast from the world, you will not find the kingdom. Now, people have tried to find the kingdom by withdrawing from the world and becoming a hermit or entering a monastery or going off into the forest or into the wilderness. Those are long-standing spiritual practices in different spiritual traditions. One can see this as unplugging from the world. People today talk about going off the grid. There's a movement of young people who fast from social media. They will not use the internet or smartphones. Now that is countercultural these days. I respect these folks. They see how technology can distort human vision. These people are fasting from the world. It's like when I was young, in the 1960s and early 70s, when hippies used to live in communes. As Timothy Leary used to say, turn on, tune in, drop out. Throughout history, including history of Christianity, people have dropped out of society. They've retreated from the world for spiritual purposes in order to find the kingdom. The purpose is to withdraw from the world in order to see reality more clearly, to gain spiritual perspective. It refines our vision so we can see the universe as it really is. The problem is that in these intentional communities, the vision of the community is often lost in time, and they become their own little human culture that obscures the vision once again, just in a different way. One can fast from the world while being a part of regular society. That's what Jesus called his followers to do. In his great non-dual prayer of the Gospel of John, often called the high priestly prayer, Jesus says of his followers, they are not of the world any more than I am of the world. My prayer is not that you take them out of the world, but that you protect them from evil. They are not of the world, even as I am not of it. This is often summed up in the phrase, being in the world but not of the world. That's what it means to fast from the world. It sometimes is called detachment. When we fast from the world, then we find that the world is not what we thought it was. Hinduism calls this world Maya, often translated illusion. I see this as meaning it's not real in the way we think it is. It's relatively real, but not ultimately real. It is real insofar as it communicates reality, which Jesus calls the kingdom of God. It's not real when it obscures the kingdom of God. So it's all about how we see the world, whether we see it at face value or look deeper. I look at the world and I see God. I see the kingdom of heaven. The heavens declare the glory of God, the psalmist says. The natural world communicates the presence and power of the divine. The Apostle Paul says, for since the creation of the world, God's invisible qualities, his eternal power and divine nature have been clearly seen, being understood from what has been made, so the people are without excuse. When you fast from the artificial, man-made interpretation of the world that has been created by culture, that has been superimposed upon the world, then the truth shines through. The truth of the kingdom is always shining through. It's just that people don't see it. They suppress the truth, and unrighteousness is how the Apostle Paul phrased it. So we fast from the man-made world, the artificial world, in order to see the real world, the divine kingdom. The same is true of time. We fast from time in order to see eternity. That's the meaning of the Sabbath. Jesus says, if you do not observe the Sabbath as the Sabbath, you will not see the Father. Now, Jesus did not keep the Sabbath the way that religious people of his time did. All the different rules that they developed around the Sabbath. He broke those all the time, and he was criticized by the religious leaders of his day for doing that. He kept the true Sabbath. He saw a deeper meaning of the Sabbath. Keeping the Sabbath as a Sabbath is fasting from time in order to see eternity. Time is an illusion. I often quote Einstein in these episodes, where he says that time is a stubbornly persistent illusion. It has been scientifically proven that time is not constant. It slows down, it speeds up, and even stops. Time-space, or space-time, is relative. The kingdom of God is eternal. We fast from space-time to see eternity. The world, the human world, is under the bondage of time. We are constantly measuring our lives, ourselves, everything in terms of time. My 75th birthday is coming up in a couple of months. And my wife asked me the other day how I want to celebrate her. And I told her I don't want to do anything special. Now, I'll do something for the grandkids' sake so they can come over to the house. We can have cake and ice cream. But no big celebration. Humans are obsessed with time. I have an appointment in about 24 hours, actually. 24 hours will probably be over with, for some small skin cancer surgery. Based on the others that I've had, I'll probably get a dozen stitches or so. Well, I just got a warning, both by email and by text on my cell phone from the doctor's office, warning me to be there on time, actually 10 minutes before the time, or else. As a culture, we are obsessed with time. The Sabbath is a day to fast from time, to rest in timelessness, to see through the illusion of time, to take a step out of time. And when we step out of time, we see we are in eternity, and we always have been in eternity. Heaven, the kingdom of heaven, is not unending time, the way that is so often pictured, especially in my religion of Christianity. The kingdom of heaven is beyond time, outside of time, transcending time, and yet it includes time. We fast from the man-made model of time, just as we fast from the man-made model of the world. We fast from mortality and realize immortality. We fast from humanity and we see divinity. We keep the true meaning of Sabbath and we see the Father, according to Jesus. We see the kingdom of the Father, the kingdom of heaven, the kingdom of God. And that is it for today. Grace and peace to you.